Vice President of Education International, Mr. Magwena Maluleke. I also greet members and the leaders of the 5 trade unions in our own country here who are steeped in education. I extend my greetings to you all and live in the hope that the rallying call that we made when some of us were in the trade union movement, that we should have one industry, one union, one country, one federation, will one day come true. It's wonderful to have all the 5 strong trade unions in our country, but I live in hope that one day you will all unite and be one union. And I say so advisedly, President Hogwood, because as I stand here, I'm the employer to all those 5 unions and their members. And I really prefer to negotiate with one union. So talking to 5 unions who tend to differ from one issue to another does become challenging. And you know, they are so clever, these 5 unions. They play us off against each other. So you move from one caucus room to the next caucus room, and they are all sort of committed to the same objective, but they come from different angles. They're very, very clever. So I want to be clever as well against them and only talk to one union. So I live in hope. It's a real privilege to address this 10th Africa Regional Conference of Education International, particularly with its focus on shaping the future of education on our continent, as well as beyond. And the theme of your conference is Standing Together for Resilient Education Systems in Times of Crises. This resonates very well with the various crises that the people of the world have had to face in recent times. Of course, the one that stands out that has been very globular is COVID-19, but beyond that, there are quite a number of other regional crises. Maybe to be a bit historical, in our case as South Africa, we started off with having to unite and working together to face a crisis in education, which was given rise to by the evil apartheid system. There had to be unity, and the unity also was amongst some of the unions that got together to fight against a terrible education system. And they triumphed and succeeded in installing a much better education system that still needs to be taken out of a crisis situation that persists, largely because of our past. Government is spending quite a lot of money, and 6.6% of our GDP is spent on education, and overall almost 19% of our national expenditure is dedicated to education. So it is very high in terms of attention and expenditure of money in trying to resolve the current situation, the past, and the future. So dedication to education is quite strong in our government system. But we're also having to face other crises, and this is where your theme also rings so true. In many parts of the world, on our own continent, the political instability with which the chair referred to also requires resilience. As coups are taking place in various parts of our continent, that requires resilience. Right now, there are wars that are raging in Ukraine and Russia. There's also a terrible war that is raging in the Middle East that is in the process of destroying the lives of innocent people. So these are crises that the education system has to respond to, and crises that education system needs to be resilient in terms of addressing. So I'm rather glad that your deliberations today are going to be rooted on how you can all make the education system, all of us, can make it resilient to be able to withstand all these crises. Some of them have to do with climate change, some with wars, some with terrible incidents like fires and floods that disrupt people's lives. So you couldn't have chosen a better theme for your conference. And I do hope that your deliberations will come up with a number of strategies and actions that will enable the nations of the world, particularly on our own continent, Africa, to be able to navigate our way through all these.